First, I want to thank you all for being here this morning. The conversations that happen in this room move our region. They really do. So beyond the value of just learning a little bit from the folks up here, what you're getting is the opportunity to network. So I appreciate that we lagged a little there. I hope you made that extra connection that leads to progress. So thank you all. I want to talk to you a little bit about something that often goes unseen in our communities, but is definitely felt, and that is childcare. We look at the world that we live in today, we look at the Central Coast, and we think about affordability. Largely, we focus on that big ticket item, housing. What's housing costing our families? Something that some folks never think about, but we all should, is the cost of childcare. Because right now in our communities, childcare is not affordable, and it is not sustainable in the form that we're experiencing it here today. So as we think about the why, as we think about the challenges, and as we think about a path forward, I'm hoping just to share a few thoughts with you that might spur minor changes within your own world or connections that could in the end lead to progress for all of us. So I've got just a couple slides that I want to share with you today. I promise they'll be short because my segment's only supposed to be 10 minutes, so I promise I will not bore you. As we think about our region, as we reflect on what we have here, we have to really focus on why childcare matters. It is social infrastructure. We experience the roads, we experience water issues, challenges with pipes and some of that infrastructure, but without childcare, that housing that you have does not go as far in taking care of our workforce. What do I mean by that? Imagine you have a young mother who is staring down a bill for childcare at the average across our region. Does anybody know what that number is? I'll tell you this, it rivals college education. I asked a friend on the way here who has 3 children, what do you think it costs? And he says, $4,000 a kid. He was confident. Nope. $14,000 per child in our region. It hurts. Whoa is right. It hurts. And it hurts our families. Because as we look at the statistics about how far a dollar goes within this space, we know that we're not spending enough. We know that the need is greater than what we have today. And we know that right now, the resources that we have within our communities are actually shrinking. People are leaving the workforce of childcare. People are looking for other paths to solve this issue, or they're leaving our region altogether because the compounding issues that we heard about a little bit earlier about the housing from the speaker, as well as childcare, make it too much for families to bear. So as we talk about our why, childcare is the heart of our economy. It really is. We all have a child in our lives that we love, whether it's a child of your own, a niece, a nephew, and you want them to get the strongest start. We know that 85% of a child's brain is developed by 3. My son is 3.5. I looked at him last night, still a little high on all that Halloween candy. Thought, that's 85%'s done. What have I imparted on him in those first 3 years? And where did the rest of that come from? I'll tell you, he picked up a lot of mannerisms from my father-in-law. He's a grumpy little 3.5-year-old sometimes. Throws his hands on his hips and goes, ugh, esos niños. He points at the other kids and says, they're acting up. And I'm like, where did this come from? And I look at my father-in-law and he's sitting there agreeing with him with his hands. Oh, there it is. Now, that's my system, right? My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, we were in a position to have them live with us, and they are my childcare. They are my support system. They are the ones giving to my kids. Inez is 9 months old. And so now I'm thinking, all right, what about her 85% in those first 3 years? How do I make sure that we continue to move the needle, not just for my kids, but for that loved one in your life? We do it together. We can't assume that it's my job, your job. It's all of our jobs. And we're pulling as a region to do that. And I'm excited about the work that we're doing. So I want to share with you just some key numbers that I know were up on a slide here for you guys to look at. We got the 85%. We got the key piece to a lot of our business-minded folks, 14% ROI. James Heckman, Nobel laureate, who got that award for the work that he does in this space. He has been able to prove with longitudinal studies over time that the savings to a community through this investment is actually a 14% ROI. Healthcare costs, less criminal activity in a community, rising wages, and that all leads to rising home prices as people do better and can afford more. It helps your regional economy to have strong childcare. I've read those studies. It's incredible what he has done to put a number on the need. So what is the number? Well, I'll tell you right now, here in the US, $500 is what we spend as government per child. The rest of the developed world, the people actually doing a little better than we are in this space, the number seems to mirror what we heard earlier. The data I found says $14,000 a child. So are we meeting the needs of our kids? Are we meeting the needs of our region? It's a tough mirror to hold up and look into, especially as a young father. I say young, sorry, give me a little grace there. You know, as we look at where we go, a lot of people look at the big number, bottom of the slide, $156 million. So that's a lot of money coming in. Yeah, but is it enough? Once you break it down per child, I'll tell you what the gap is. That gap, I want to make sure it's right. I believe it's 6,000 or 9,000. 9,000. 9,000 kids is our gap that we don't have the resources to cover. We need about 112 million more in this space to meet that gap. What's another challenge that we face? How? Where are you going to meet the need? Right? We have this amazing work that happens in homes. FFNs, if you've ever heard, I know acronym SOUP is something we all deal with no matter what world we live in. Friends, families, and neighbors. I live in that world. I've got a family taking care of my kids. All those pieces matter as we move forward. But with that big of a gap, the challenges that we face to solving the problem include real estate. When you go to develop a neighborhood, when you go to develop a business, when you go to develop the future of your general plan for your city, are you thinking not just about K through 8 or now pre-K through 8? Are you thinking about childcare? Are you building in a space that meets requirements to allow an individual to take care of even more kids? Reflect, look in the mirror, ask yourself, am I being part of that solution? There's other people in this community who are being part of the solution, and we have to hold up those heroes and thank them for what they're doing. She told me not to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Francine Rod, right? One of those people at the leading edge. Carmen with Pájaro CDC, is Carmen with us today? People who've been at that leading edge. People who've continued to lead through example and tell the story about that 85% of the child development 0 to 3. Together, we can get there, but it takes all of us. So as you think about what your next step is, as you think about what your agency can do to be part of the solution, we invite you to join us. And we're in every room, we're in every space. We wear our hats. Sometimes you see a button or a pin. It might say something different because every community's effort will look different. But the need is real across our region. As we look at the challenge of housing, as we look at the challenge of infrastructure, as we look at improving our economy, if we don't lift up those families with the youngest among us with us, we will all fall behind because those kids are who come after us. We can't always expect to import the greatest minds. We have to create them here at home. We're doing that with amazing partners like CSUMB, amazing partners like UC Santa Cruz, and we have a trustee. I want to thank Hartnell. Hartnell has the first apprenticeship in early child care. That's a creative way that we're making the work happen. Thank you, Erica, for your work in this space. As we move forward, I ask that you make it part of your puzzle, the piece that you carry within yourself. If you can, make it part of your heart, because at the end, we all have that piece that we lead with. And I think we all, in a way, lead with our heart. This piece has to be at the heart of everything we do. From the bottom to the top, Everyone in our community needs that support because it moves us together. And when we move together, we all have those better outcomes. 14% ROI, it makes business sense. To the heart, it makes sense because every kid is taken care of and it sets us up long term. Even for our seniors who say, what's in it for me? I paid for my kids' college. I got myself here. I bootstrap. Well, who's going to buy your house when you're ready to move on or your kids decide to sell it? The future, the kids are. We have to set them up because we set ourselves up. So I invite you to join me in leading with your heart and invest in childcare, no matter what that looks like in your world. Thank you.